Welcome back to Power Play. We want to revisit our top story. Incoming U.S. President Donald Trump says he's prepared to use what he's calling economic force to annex Canada and make it the 51st U.S. state. The feds initially dismissed the threat as a joke, but the prime minister today fired back on social media, writing there's not a snowball's chance in hell of Canada joining the U.S. So what does all of this mean for the looming threat of a 25% blanket import tariff on everything we send into the United States? David MacNaughton was Canada's ambassador to the U.S. during the last Trump administration. He's with us live now. Hi, Mr. MacNaughton. Great to see you as always. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
I know we've spoken on different
starting off with a bang, shall we say.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's in that vein I wanted to ask you, because we've spoken on different occasions where your advice has been not to be so reactive, right, to all of the different stuff that Trump is putting out there. Today, it felt like he was being very explicit, very detailed, and taking the bait from reporters on repeated occasions to talk more about this possibility of annexation or whatever you want to call it. What do you take from that?
Well, I think, Donald Trump, when he senses weakness, he tries to press what he sees as his advantage. I think the irony of what he's done today is it is going to backfire on him, because it will, I think, have the effect of uniting Canadians at a time when, I think it's fair to say that we are all over the map in terms of the politics and in terms of, the relationship between governments and the business community. But I think in one fell swoop, Donald Trump has actually done more to unite Canadians, I think, over the next while than he possibly imagines. So I think, I think we need to pull together. Obviously, I don't think it's particularly helpful for Prime Minister Trudeau to be making comments. I think that will simply spur Donald Trump on. And given the fact that the Prime Minister is stepping down or has stepped down, I think he should leave the field to the premiers and other members of the federal cabinet and the opposition to react to this, and he should stay out of it. But as I said, I think Donald Trump's done more to unite Canadians in the last several hours than he really may appreciate.
How complex does it become to negotiate the Canadian position against the prospect of these tariffs with the Prime Minister essentially in this sort of placeholder until a replacement is chosen?
It's going to be hard. I don't think there's any doubt that we are going to live through a few months of uncertainty. But I do think that there will be some measures taken by governments, the federal government, and I suspect some provinces, that will get Americans' attention. And I don't think Trump fully appreciates the linkages economic linkages between Canada and the United States. So it's going to be a difficult few months. I don't think there's any question about that. But at the end of the day, as I say, I think we're going to come out of this better than a lot of people think. I think that there's room for optimism. I think that Canada and the United States are allies, and particularly at a time when this geopolitical situation is extremely difficult. The economy is going through a huge transition. I think Donald Trump will come to the realization that actually Canada is a pretty good partner. But it may take him a while to come to that realization.
I just have time for one final question on that very note, and what might prompt him to end up in that place. Again, one of the previous times we spoke, you were warning against, at that juncture at least, threatening retaliation, the specifics of it at that point. Do you think, based on what's happened in the interim, what's happening domestically here, it is time to detail a little bit more of what we would do in response to those tariffs, just because it doesn't seem like we'll escape the immediate application of them, at least?
Well, I think, we should be ready if, in fact, the day after he's takes office, he imposes tariffs. We should be ready to retaliate. And I think the other thing that I don't think the president really appreciates is, quite apart from the retaliatory measures, I think Canadians generally will be pretty angry and may boycott a lot of things that they, consume from the United States. There are other places that where you can get oranges other than Florida, and bourbon other than Kentucky, and wine other than California. So we'll see. But it's going to be a difficult few months. But at the end of the day, I think I'm an eternal optimist, and I think we're going to end up becoming the reliable partners in trade and security and military that Donald Trump doesn't fully appreciate, but he will find out.
Well, it's nice to end on an optimistic note. Mr. MacNaughton, appreciate your insights as always. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Anytime. Thanks.
Canada's former ambassador to the U.S., David MacNaughton. We're back in just a moment.